2, we're looking at the Christian, the bearer of others' loads. It tells us in Galatians chapter 6, reading from verse 2, bear ye one another's burdens. Unbelievers don't do that. Unbelievers say, I have enough to think about. I have enough to chew. I have a lot on my plate. I cannot get up and help another person, bear another person's burden. Unbelievers don't think about other people, their lives, their thoughts, their plan, their purpose, their food. Everything is for them and them alone. But is the Christian, because he's following Christ and because the nature of Christ is now on him and in him, is able to answer to this, bear one another's bodies, and so fulfill the law of Christ. In Romans chapter 15, we're reading from verse 1. Romans chapter 15, we're reading from verse 1. We then that are strong, made strong by the Spirit of Christ in the Christian, ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves. And then in verse 2 it says, let every one of us please his neighbor, help his neighbor, uplift his neighbor, assist his neighbor, bear his neighbor's burden to his good, to edification, for his good, to edification. And then in verse 3 it says, for even Christ please not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproached thee fell on me. Verse 4. In verse 4, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. Whatsoever things were written aforetime in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, the word that shows how disciples helped others, bore with others, and bore their bodies. They were written aforetime. They're written for our learning, that we, through patience, perseverance, and comfort of the scriptures, we might have hope. In 1 John chapter 3, verse 16, hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. Christians are burden bearers. They bear the burdens of others. They lift the yoke from other people. Verse 17, it says in verse 17, but also as this was good, and seeth his brother have need of comfort, need of counseling, need of food, need of clothing, need of necessities of life. Whoso as this was good, and seeth his brother have need, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion upon him, or from him, how dwelleth in him the love of God? How does it show that he is a confirmed, a comforting Christian? In verse 18, my little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth.